In this video we're going to have a look at this HMG Hyperlight mountain gear Windrider 70 litres. This, as you can see, is a monstrous pack. When I stand next to it, it comes up to my belly button. It's a very big pack, and like quite a few packs, the bottom of the pack is fairly small. It's, you know, it's a decent size, but it's not monstrous. But the pack gets bigger and bigger, as it were, as it goes up. So the top of the pack is very wide. You have a Velcro across the top, which, you know, helps do the top up. Personally, I would do without the Velcro because I find it more annoying than anything else, and really when you're rolling it up it's just not needed. And given that it's a lightweight pack, you've added, like, I don't know, 10-20 grams really unnecessarily, so I don't know why they bother with that. It clings to clothes. When it closed, it's awkward to open. I just find it's just not needed. I don't know why they anyway. That's my first gripe. The second slight gripe that I have is I think the shoulder straps could be possibly a little bit beefier, a little bit wider, not much, but you know, I just wonder whether, you know, the shoulder straps on this are, you know, substantial enough. I find with my MLD pack, my Exodus, which is about a 50-55 litre pack, when I have that loaded and it's 12 to 14 kilograms, it is heavy. It's a completely frameless pack. It is heavy, and I do find it on the shoulders a bit. But given that it's a 55 litre pack, given that it's really only designed for 10 to 12 kilograms, so I'm probably overloading it, you know, by going up to 14 kilograms in it, and it's usually just for a day or so until the food starts to drop off. I find it quite comfortable, you know, even if it is quite heavy. I find this pack with these straps, for some reason, when it's about 14-15 kilograms, just not the most comfortable on the shoulders. It's not impossible, you know, it's perfect, it's acceptable, but I do find the Paragon 58 more comfortable. But that's a heavier pack, and it's a smaller pack as well. So this is a bigger pack where it will hold more, yet it's not as comfortable as a heavier pack. Although the Paragon isn't much heavier than this. I think this is about this is either 1.2, I think this is 1.2, and the Gregory is about 1.6. So I think there's about 400 grams in it, which isn't a huge amount. It kind of shows how impressive the Gregory is, all considered. But I do wish the straps, you know, were a little bit better. The other thing is, you will notice that this has no back support. It does have a foam insert there, which I think is sealed in. You can't, there's no Velcro inside where that foam pad could be taken out. So that foam pad in there, that's fixed. When you buy this pack, you do have two aluminium stays that run from here right down to the bottom, one each side by the strap. Now obviously that would help transfer some of the weight from the shoulders to the hip belt. the problem that I had with those is they were freakingly uncomfortable. Unbelievably, unbearably, impossibly uncomfortable. And it turned this pack from being impossible to use to being good to use, fine to use, just not the most comfortable when you're in the 15 kilogram place. If you pack it properly, as I do, and obviously you pack it, you put your sleeping bag, you put your stuff there, you fill up the bottom, and then in this section here, maybe put your food and your heavier items, and then get the pack itself into a really tight sausage, as it were. I still ascertain that as long as the pack itself is good and strong and solid in this section here particularly, you don't need much of a frame, because what is packed inside, as long as it's fairly tight and taut, is acting as the back system. So I don't think that it's because I've taken those things out so much, as more I just wish that the shoulder straps were a little bit beefier. Obviously, you know, they've done the pack as light as they can, and obviously if you beef the straps up, you know, very much, you know, obviously you're going to increase, you know, the weight of the pack, which already isn't the lightest pack when it comes to this type of thing at 1.2 odd kilograms. There is a small pocket here, or a small hole here, where if you had a water bladder inside, you could have your hose coming out. Really, I think that is a completely pointless thing. I mean, maybe you would have a water bladder in here, but I really, for the life of me, cannot understand how or why you would bother, but you know, it's there. So you get a good holding handle here. In fact, I just show you one thing I do really like with this pack, and I've never seen this on any other pack, and I think this is a genius thing, is there's a small loop there. So normally when your pack is heavy, you kind of got to pick it up from this, or you kind of got to pick it from that, or you're kind of picking it up that way. With this, you've got a little loop here, 2 fingers fits through, you got your loop there, and then you can kind of pick it up and you can hold it. I probably wouldn't put the full weight of holding onto that one, but you know, you can hold the pack with that little loop there, and I must admit that is a genius thing. Okay, so extra, I had to get 2 water bottle things that go on the shoulder straps, because I like water bottles there, so they were extra. Obviously you've got your sternum strap with a whistle, that works very well. The only thing that I will just say with this one is I prefer the types where this part here is actually fixed, attached to the strap, because when it's like that and you've got this bit that's loose, you don't have to be holding this one here to attach it, because it's like fixed in place. You can just snap it in one-handed. Let's see. This one you've got to use 2 hands to operate it, which is a little bit annoying. I would prefer one thing there, to be fair. But it works fine, it works well enough. The usual strap system there, and on that side for tightening it up. So that's the same as any other pack, and it works well. I went for large. I'm Tom Cruise height, I'm 5'8", but I tend to, I got a long back and short, fat, hairy legs, it seems. It seems my back is around about 21 inches, so I always personally go for a large back. So that's a large back. There's a good a good I think the hip pocket is good enough. You know, again, whether it could be a little bit beefier, but then you're just going to make it, the idea of this pack is to make it as light as possible. So I think that works well. I think it's just, I wish the straps were just, you know, maybe a little bit broader, but it's probably just standard, and it's just me, I'm guessing. The buckle on the front here is the standard conventional clip with the one-pull system there. Works well. Not as good as the Gregory, but nothing is as good as the Gregory on that tightening up thing. Watch that video. But this works well. The only thing I will say is that there are times when it's not very easy to get this tight. You know, I like, and this might be another reason why I'm finding it's pulling on the shoulders a bit, because maybe I'm not being able to cinch it up, you know, quite enough with this system. And again, with the MOD ones, probably because the weight isn't quite as much as I put in here. Maybe it's just not quite as noticeable. But, you know, it's a lightweight belt system, and that's what it is. I still think it's better, personally, than the two system on there, where you've got to pull one and pull the other. But I don't have a huge amount of experience with those. You get two hip pockets attached, included. That makes a change, rather than, you know, needing something extra. And I will give them a credit. The zip on this, when it's done up, generally speaking, you know, does up easily one-handed, pretty well. Don't really have any complaints on that. Got your two things there, which I like. The only thing with that, when it's really full, you know, it only just meets at the top, but, you know, it's fine. There is just enough there. But it would mean that if you were wanting to put something on the top and hold it in place with this, you can't, because that's there, and now you can't put something. That's if you filled it right to the top. I'm really splitting hairs, you know, a little bit there, but, you know, even if you give it 1, 2, 3 turns, you've still only got, you know, that little bit there to secure something on the top. So it would almost be better if this was a little bit longer, maybe. It's just me thinking out loud. One thing I've added, and that's I've added thick bungee cord across here, because anyone that knows me knows I love bungee cord and I love strapping things on the outside. So I put one piece of bungee cord there, and I've put one piece of bungee cord down the bottom, and it is purely for stuff mat, I know, for sit mats and something like that. But I do like bungee cord. I just find it really convenient. What you can get, and also my bungee cord I've got that goes right round, not obviously round the back, but the sides, front, and yeah, the sides and the front. What you can get at extra cost, which is a little bit cheeky, but that's how they do these things. I did buy this one, just to let you know. But you can get for extra these straps, and they fit on the front, so they don't fit on the sides, but they fit on the front, and they are generous. You know, you could put quite something under there if you know, if you wanted, but they only go on the front, and I like things on the sides. We'll look at the sides in a moment. So I got two. I think they were like $20 or something, but you know, you could put something under there as well. So I've got that and the bungee cord. So that's that. You get, with this one, you get very generous mesh pocket that side, a very generous mesh pocket this side, and you can use them when the pack is full. You can get quite a bit in them, and a pretty generous mesh pocket on the front. And what I like with this is the base of the pack is completely flat, and the pocket goes all the way, you know, to the bottom, so you can use all of that, and you can get quite a lot, you know, in there. There's a small hole there, you know, obviously for water to get out. So they are quite generous, you know, pockets on the outside. The super mid wrapped up fits in there easily, and I was also able to get a waterproof jacket in there as well. That is a very, very generous, you know, mesh pocket on the outside. You get an ice axe loop on the bottom there, so you can put your ice axe through there and secure it in place with these. Obviously I've got my bungee cord as well to help secure it in. Right, another thing that I was a bit disappointed in, another thing I remember now, is these side compression straps. And I think this was one half reason why I put my bungee cord on, because you get these compression straps here, which are good because they kind of compress it down, and you could turn a 70-litre pack into a much smaller pack. You could compress this down a lot. Obviously you're still carrying the whole weight of the pack, so obviously the pack doesn't get lighter, but you could, you know, you could compress the sides in, you know, to make it a lot smaller. The only thing that I find with these is they've used very, very lightweight material. It's like at the last minute they thought, oh, we need side compression straps. Bugger, it's going to add weight. We're going to use the thinnest material that we can. And it's not sewn on the end, you know, normally they fold it over and sew it. To be fair, I've often cut that off anyway so I can unthread it. But I found several times that when you're not careful, you, like I just did then, it just pulls straight through, and I didn't even really mean to do it. It's just so easy to do. And then you gotta then thread it back again, and it's not that difficult with warm hands, but if your hands are cold and you've then got to thread it, it's not the easiest. I found that a little bit problematical, so I really don't like those either. I think they're too thin. I think they should have used, you know, the same type of webbing as this, and the same type of webbing, you know, as that. I mean, it would maybe have been 10-20 grams more, but it just would have made these straps better. You know, that's just you know, a thought there. I just don't think they hold very well. I found that after walking for a while, you know, things underneath them loosened off. So I think that was another reason why I put the bungee cord on, apart from the fact I'm addicted to bungee cord. And of course you get another one down here. So with the same very, very lightweight material there. This one's not so problematic because it's kind of like smaller, and you're probably not going to undo it quite so much, but I think I've had that one. So to be honest, I tend to just ignore them. I mean, I won't cut them off, but you know, I'd almost ignore them really in favour of the bungee cord that my own bungee cord that I've put on, because like I said, I'm a bungee addict. And then obviously the top, it's a traditional roll top. I've mentioned the Velcro there. You get straps on the side, so you've got two ways of doing this up. you can, obviously you roll it up, and then you can either do it up that way, or, and the way, this is the way I do it, because I think this is better, you get that there, and that there, and then you can do it up, you know, and pull it down tight there. So obviously that one you've got the female, so male to female, and this one is female to male. And if you know, if you do these up together, I'm not quite sure what you're going to do with these, you know, because I don't really think you're going to be doing them up across, because I don't think the sewing is such, you know, for that. So I think they're giving you the option that if you wanted to cut those off, you know, you could. But again, I'm not the type of person that likes chopping things off. I don't mind adding a couple of bits, but I don't like chopping things off. So I do it up like that, and it does it up well. And when it's packed well, it's a really nicely packed pack, and you can get a hell of a lot of stuff in there. I mean, last winter with Chris, I took this to Scotland. I don't know, I've used this 2, 3, 4 times, you know, for like 3 days each. So, you know, my usage is limited, but I've certainly used it enough to give a few thoughts on it. And I like it a lot. It's just not the most comfortable when it's a little bit heavier. But, you know, I think the idea of this pack is to put as lighter stuff in it as you possibly can. You know, it isn't designed like the Gregory, you know, to carry huge weight. You know, this is, I think the reason why it is so big, you know, is that you can get your down jackets in and your down sleeping bags in, and as much lightweight puffy stuff as you can in that's quite lightweight. And for that, it's perfect. So I think as long as you can keep your weight to, you know, ideally 14 kilograms, and you're going to be feeling even that, then, you know, it's fine. I'm very, 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 very tempted to try and get the Arc Hall 70 litre Z-Packs pack. And I'm curious, comment below, am I the only one that's taken the aluminium stay out of this, because I found it impossible to wear and to use it with that. So like I said, I turned it from being impossible to wear to being marginally uncomfortable at 70 litres to wear, at 14 plus kilograms to wear. But it's not that uncomfortable, you know, it's certainly tolerable. And I would, you know, I try to sort of keep it as light as possible, you know, with this one. And that is the problem. Obviously, the lighter the weight the pack, the less comfortable potentially it's going to be when you're carrying it. You know, and maybe that is, you know, maybe we're at the point of diminishing returns, in that, you know, you're going so lightweight with these lightweight packs that the weight that you're saving, you know, isn't balanced out with what you know, in comfort. So that's a little bit of an open one for me, because I haven't done enough, you know, huge big walking to really comment, you know, fully on that. But I think this pack is knocking on the door of that diminishing return of what you save, because I can get more in here than the Gregory Paragon 58, clearly, because that's 58, this is 70. but the Gregory is more comfortable, you know, more comfortable to hold, you know, to carry. But you know, they're completely different packs. You can't even begin to compare them, to be honest. And obviously this is a lot more expensive, and then you've got the customs from the US and everything else like that. So anyway, you know, it's up to you what you want to, you know. I'm not going to not recommend it. I'm not going to not recommend it if you want a lightweight pack for your winter lightweight down clothing, and you can keep the weight to 14 or 15 kilograms. I think you'll be doing very well with this. And just be aware that, you know, you might find it, you know, a little bit uncomfortable, you know, for a couple of days until you can get that food down. I think probably the sweet spot for this, like any lightweight pack, probably is that 12 kilogram point. You know, I think once you start getting into the 14, 15 point kilograms, that's just when, you know, they get a little bit more uncomfortable, but, you know, not unbearable. And if you were out for several days and your food weight was going to drop down, then you're going to start noticing the benefits of them. So I'm always going to be going for as light a weight as I possibly can, including in packs. So we will certainly be using this more and seeing how we get on with it. Anyway, I hope that rather rambly, waffly thing, you know, is helpful to you. Any comments or questions, pop them down below. That's the inside of the pack there. You can see it is very spacious. You do get a pocket down there for you know, for a water bladder, but it's to my mind, I've never really understood putting those in. You can see here one there, so there's two black lines, one on each side, there and there. That's for the aluminium stays, which I've taken out. I can't use those, they're just too uncomfortable. But you know, you might be fine with it. So you can see here in this side pocket here, I've got the rubbish here, rubbish there, the floor, bit of the floor, platypus, so platypus, pots there, and then, oh fuck, and then this side I've got fuel, spoons and things, and the wind thing there. So you can get a lot of stuff in the side pockets. And then obviously when everything is loaded in, that's everything loaded in. So what we'll do, oh, fuck me. So what we'll do, so when you're kind of packing it, this last little bit, if you can do it outside, I think really does help, especially when you've taken out those internal stays. So get it as tight as you can. You can tighten up those side things, and then my bungee cord round the side, does those, so that's nice and secure. I must admit I haven't used, so that's obviously one strap there, and obviously that's the other strap down there, so I could use those for this as well. I just find that more convenient, to be honest. And obviously, if you remember, that was where it would be, you know, fully loaded. Obviously, we've, you know, we've got a lot less in it now than we had, and we should hopefully be able to get the super mid in that side pocket there, and that's got it all nice and tightly packed.